Okay. Right. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another joint meeting of the Hong Kong Philatelic Society and the Hong Kong Study Circle. And welcome everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Now the theme for this meeting is another on the Hong Kong branch office, which we had a wonderful meeting last time, but I think there are still a lot of stuff to be talked about regarding the Hong Kong branch offices. And I think we could continue with what we left off last time. And by the way, this is actually the first meeting that we have FIAP, the Federation of Inter-Asia Philately, is sponsored. So I would like to thank the Secretary, Jasmine, and also the President, Dr. Prakop, for being so generous and allowed us to use the official Zoom channel of FIAP. Right, I think without further ado, I would like to maybe invite Ingo. Are you ready, Ingo?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Yeah. So you're going to talk about the Man Yi post office, right?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
We've been talking about the early branch post offices so far, and that's of course a very fascinating history, but I like to study modern postal history. And for some reason, I don't even know why, but I fell in love with the postmarks of Man Yi Arcade. And I started just accumulating stamps with the marking. I started accumulating covers. And then I started to study it to prepare an exhibit. And I made a one-frame exhibit on Man Yi Arcade a few years back. And I've been continuously collecting more material from it. So now it's too much for a one frame. It's probably not much more than 2 or 3 frames, so I can't get it to international exhibiting. But I decided to just write essays about it. And there is an essay that I've sent to Nick that will be published in the forthcoming journal, Hong Kong Study Circle journal. But I thought I'd give you a preview of what we're talking about. So if you're interested in modern postal history, I will share the screen. All right. So Man Yi Arcade was a short-lived post office from 1960 to 68. It was located in Central on DeVoe Road. And it was a very interesting building. When I started studying the building itself, I found out that it had actually some fame in architectural circles. It was the first building in Asia to have an escalator, and that was in 1960. So when it opened, so that was quite an accomplishment. And I guess they had about 6 stories. I'm not sure. I haven't been able to find a picture of it, and I haven't been able to find sources to give me the actual tenants of the building. But I'm slowly building that up by accumulating a lot of covers to find out people with addresses in the Man Yi building. So this first cover I'm showing is a first day of usage. It looks commercial. I read the message in it. It isn't philatelically inspired, so it's a first day of usage, and it's got that skeleton cancel with the star index. That cancel, it's not extremely scarce or anything, but it's nice to find different covers with it. The date indicators quickly wore out, and you often have very tough to read dates. Also in Proud, they show that there are 2 versions of this, the one with the star index and one with no star. But of the several hundred covers that I've seen or have, I have never seen one with the no star. Book but never issued, or if it just stayed in the post office counters and was never used. But if anybody has one of those skeleton Manny arcade cancels with no star, I would be interested to see an image of it. I'm talking here about the circular date stamps, the Manny Arcade Hong Kong with the inner lines between the from number 1 to number 6. 3, 4, and 5 were originally used just for registration, but eventually they used them for other purposes. And 6 must have been a supplementary one, because you can almost never find a cover with 6. I have 2, and they're both completely philatelic, as you see on the bottom one, to Mr. Eric Wong Tape, well-known philatelist in Hong Kong. And the only philatelic one. So again, if somebody has a commercial cover with the index 6, I'd be interested in it. We're talking here about registration labels. Originally, they had just the Hong Kong F used up till 1962. There are also other Hong Kong designations. There's also variations. I found one with the Hong Kong F where the letters are all in capitals. So there's quite a bit of interesting variety on registration labels for Manny Arcade. Yeah, here's a few more of the different types. So there's about 12 types listed in Ming Chang's book. I don't have them all shown on this page, but these are relatively common. Some are more easy to find than others, but for a branch post office that only lasted 8 years, the variety of registration labels they had is incredible. It's much more than other branches. So this is the registration label. I call it provisional. I don't know if it really was provisional, but it's of a type that no other branch in Hong Kong, and also in Susan Crew's listing from the Hong Kong Study Circle, there is no other branch post office that has this style of registration label. It's on a sort of very thin paper. It's rouletted. And according to the China Philatelic Association book, it's also, this one is in light green, but it's apparently also been found in white color. This is a very And then here are some that aren't listed in Ming Chang's book. Here's that Hong Kong G with the blue-green color and all in capitals. Here's a Hong Kong 43. That was a new find for me last year, acquired on eBay. And here's one that at first glance I thought, oh, I have that one already, but then I realized this has got different lettering for the capitals, and that one is also not listed, neither in Susan Crew nor in Ming Chang's book. Then you've got parcel post. So parcel post is something that's always very difficult to find examples of, just because of the nature of packages being shipped and people usually just ripping the paper open and throwing it away. So you don't find good parcel post cancels. This upper one is, of course, the one that is most commonly used. I don't have any covers or parcel fragments with it. I just got that from a collector who had a collection of parcel post cancels. And I did manage to find a parcel post dispatch bulletin. This is a lucky Gaza in the United Arab Republic. For a short time in the 60s, Egypt and Syria merged their government and formed a country called the United Arab Republic, which was a stamp issuing entity. So to me, that becomes a destination. And it's a very short-lived country, although they issued stamps even after the two countries separated again and became their own entities, Egypt and Syria. Always fun, and getting a parcel post dispatch bulletin to me is a nice piece. I've written this one up before in the Hong Kong Studies Circle Journal. And this, of course, is from those parcel mailings in the 60s when there was a lot of small packets going to China to help the suffering population on the mainland at the time. And undated purple triple circle cancellations. And I just have that little piece with the manu cancel on it, but I don't have an actual cover, but you rarely see covers from that sending too. The next thing is avis de réception, AR covers. That's a subspecialty of mine. I have that John Wilson and I spoke on at the Philatelic Specialist Society of Canada a couple of years ago. And Manu Arcade did have AR service. Not every post office had it, it seems, because there's not markings from every post office. But the one that's listed and proud is this one. And when I got this second one, I did some measurements of the front, exactly rectangular, and sure enough, it measures, it has a different measurement from the regular one. So this is one that's not listed. And this one also has the Hong Kong G blue label and the skeleton date stamp. So next we have an AR card. So this was the card that would be given to the, that would be sent signature, that proof that the item was delivered, and then returned to the sender as a notice of reception of the shipment. And this one is a local one, it's a domestic one. A lot of AR cards are seen for overseas usage, but I don't have too many that are domestic, local mailings in Hong Kong. So I was happy to arcade. There's a lot of different forms. This is form C5. I do collect these cards too, and they have all different form numbers and different variations. Lee Scamp did a study of these and has a listing of all the different forms. Then we have certificates of posting. So here's a manual. The date is, you can't even tell the date. I'm assuming it's a first day just because it's going to Peter Scheck, and the registration is F00. I think that's a 1, so that might be the first registered mailing from Manu Arcade. Certainly that date there, handwritten 1960, that would indicate that it's a first. Certificate of posting a parcel by air. This one's going to Philippines. We have a certificate of posting a parcel. This one going to, again, to Philippines. Same, oh, I just realized it's the same consignee. And the lower one is a certificate of posting a registered packet. And this one has the AR marking on it. So you could even get avis de. This is one of the things I'm most proud of finding, a Commonwealth reply coupon that was cashed in at Manny Arcade. The origin office is in Sarawak, but it was sent to somebody who brought it to Manny Arcade, and it was cashed in, and you see they use the index 5, which would have meant it was dealt with at the registration counter. In how many counters it had and all the different services it supplied. I would love to find a reply coupon issued in Manny Arcade, because I believe they had that service. So I'm going to show a few destinations and usage. So this is a second class letter going to airmail letter going to Germany. Nothing too as opposed to first class mail. And it's got a nice receiver. This is a famous correspondence at Dr. Voss in Germany. I've got lots of covers from him, not only from Manny Arcade. This one was a lucky find on eBay, which listed this as Hong Kong to Switzerland because of the addressing saying Vaduz, Switzerland. But of course, Vaduz is right Liechtenstein in the second line. So to me, this is a very rare destination cover because Liechtenstein doesn't have a lot of incoming mail from Hong Kong. And it's a first class $1.30 rate, showing some commemorative usage. And it's a company that's got an address on the 6th floor of the Manny building. So as I collect these covers, I'm trying to, learn more about who was. And then we have some short paid mail. I haven't seen any postage due mail except for this cover that, again, I had a lucky find on eBay. So it was sent but found deficient and then paid by sender $1. So it's the $1, it's the $2 airmail rate to Canada. And they had to pay, they only paid. And there is a receiver showing that it did get through to the addressee. So Manny Arcade, after opening in September 1960, was closed at the close of business on 22nd of June in 1968. And the post office that took its place was, I believe the 22nd of June was a Saturday and 24th of June was a Monday. So that sort of concludes the story, the short 8-year period of Manny Arcade. And I don't really know why they closed it and changed it. I never was able to get any records about that or newspaper articles. I do have a newspaper article showing the opening day, but I haven't been able to find any writings about. I do have a want list. I thought I'd mention to this audience if anybody has anything they want to sell me or trade or just find something and let me know about it. I'm always looking for more covers with this registration label. I've only seen 2. I've only had 2 in my possession, and one of them I traded away. I was regretting that I did before I knew how scarce it was. I would also like to find this cancel. It's a copy of the listing in Proud where there's no star index. Like I say, out of the, for that skeleton cancel, I've probably handled about 50 covers and I've got about a dozen in my possession, and every one of them has the star. So if somebody has one without star, I'd love to see that. I would like to see a commercial cover with this really hunting and pecking for photo or a postcard. I look on the postcard listings on eBay. I look at any dealer who's got postcards, 1960s vintage postcards. For some reason, I have never seen one that has the building. So if anybody has one, I'd be very interested to acquire that, or at least get an image of it. And certainly any parcel post. Again, if you have one, an image would be lovely. The actual item would be precious. So thank you for listening to this modern postal history article, and you'll be reading in more depth about it in the Hong Kong Studies Circle Journal forthcoming. I'll stop sharing if anybody wants to ask questions.
Yes.
Hi,
Thank you.
Engel.
Thank you, Engel.
Simon
That was
here.
a fascinating talk about the Manyi arcade. I fondly remembered for another aspect of the Manyi arcade is they used to have a lot of so-called hi-fi shops, selling turntables, loudspeakers, amplifiers, and during the afternoon there were lots of people actually going down there and listening to various very expensive hi-fis and things like that. It certainly is a very fascinating place. If my memory serves me right, I think it's more than 6 floors. I think it's something maybe about 10 or 12. I mean, but some of the
I think it was more than 6. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. But as you say, it's a fascinating place with an escalator right in the middle of in the center of the lobby. I think I've seen photographs.
呢個定係咩啊？呢個咪好，呢個咪唔得嘅。我知。
Yeah, I definitely have seen photographs before. Maybe I have a look for you. Anyway, any questions?
Yeah.
Yes, I have a question. Yeah, Simon Choi here. You hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Engel, can you refer back to your what was that, the parcel receipt or?
The parcel receipt, okay. I'll share the screen again.
Yes.
It's not showing up. Are you seeing the image?
No.
I'm gonna try again. I'll just try it from the beginning.
Yes, maybe
Yeah,
just stay here.
actually,
Yeah. I can
okay.
see something like a label in the top.
Yes.
Yeah. Is it a label or what is it in fact?
That is the parcel post label. Again, these labels are listed in the China Philatelic Association books from the 1970s when they, or I think, 1990s, when they listed all the parcel post offices and the markings and the labels.
Okay, that means the same label will be affixed to that parcel itself.
The larger.
Yes.
Okay. There's a larger portion. This is the bottom of the label.
Oh, right.
The
Okay,
label has a larger portion than the smaller portion.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
This is
Sometimes you
actually the
see
bottom.
the large portion as a.
That's right.
Yeah.
So is there a green version of this label for the parcel label? Have you seen any parcel label in green or blue-green?
Never seen. And I'm trying to remember what it said in the listings from the China Philatelic Association, but to my memory, I don't think there's any variations in the colors. These are always white.
Mm-hmm.
These labels are really, really tough to find, and I've seen probably no more than a dozen in my time of collecting Hong Kong, seriously. and everyone I've seen was white. So I don't think they printed them on green paper, but you know, if anybody has some, that would be an interesting find.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And according to Proud, there are two skeleton type of date stamps, and in CPA, I'm not sure. Maybe there's a few types. Have you studied that issue? That how many skeleton?
Well, yes, that's the one I was talking about. This one. Let me see if this one with the star index, and Proud shows two. He shows shows one without the star, and then he shows the one with the star. And like I said, to my knowledge, I have never seen the one without the star. And certainly, like I say, I have maybe a dozen or 20 skeleton cancellation covers, and every one of them has the star. And even on stamps, the cancel on stamps always has the star from what I've seen. So I've never seen the one with no star.
Okay.
And I don't know about any other types. It would be two types, but only one known.
Okay. So, in your opinion, there the one without the star.
In my opinion, from what I've observed and what is written in Proud, yes.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Well, yeah. Talking about Manyi Ake, I can recall my memory when I was a child. Yeah, that's the 70s. There was we call it Cha Chan Tang, a Chinese type of. Was one of my favorite restaurants in Hong Kong.
They call them sorry, Simon. They call them tea house.
Oh yeah, maybe tea house.
Tea house, okay.
Yeah. I that's my most favorite restaurant at that time, and my father and my mother took me there. We took the tram, and then we went there and have some desserts and some drinks, and we thought that was very nice. And Andrew mentioned about at that time could already enjoy the high fives. And at that time, I remember that there was a camera shop there. In fact, I like cameras, and I always look at the Nikon, the FE, FMs there in that camera shop. That's on the Pottinger Street side. I remember that the camera shop.
Yeah.
That's all my memory.
Simon.
Yeah.
The restaurant, my favorite there is the shrimp toast.
Oh, really?
Remember the shrimp toast?
So,
you're not a foodie. I still remember.
So
this is like 50, 60 years.
Right.
And you know what? Manyi Ake has my favorite shop in Hong Kong, period. When I was a kid growing up, that is where the high-end toys are. Do you remember that? It's the toy store, Andrew. Yeah. I mean, you're in a different category. All I want is Matchbox, little Matchbox cars.
Yeah, and
that's the high end. I mean, I fight every time. I fight my parents. I have to go there. I need money, I need to buy something when I leave Manyi Ake. So,
right.
So Ingo, try to get one that has the toy store origination.
I'm looking every time.
The toy store.
Yeah.
That to me, my favorite, all-time favorite shop, because it's high-end store. That's the to me at that point, that was the biggest deal in Hong Kong. Yeah. High-end toys.
I never got to the Manyi Arcade, but I did go to the Manyi building. What happened was after in the 70s, I believe in the late 70s or early 80s, they tore down the old Manyi Arcade and put up a new skyscraper called the Manyi Building. I did go to that. And On the second floor, when you go up the escalator, they still have an escalator.
Yes.
There's a Starbucks. So I went into the Starbucks to say I made a purchase at the Manyi building, but it's completely different now.
Yes, it's a love-hate relationship.
Yeah, it's
the Manyi Arcade.
Yeah.
You know, I love it because I bought my first pair of speakers from the Manyi Arcade. I hate it because my dentist was on the 8th floor. Everybody don't like going to the dentist.
So you had mixed feelings.
Yes, mixed feelings.
You had mixed feelings about the Manyi Arcade.
Yeah.
One thing, it was unusual that they had a post office in there. It was the first commercial building to have a post office, and it was the first branch post office to be named after a building.
Yes.
So it has a very interesting history, and I'd like to find out more about it because it's sort of a legend in Hong Kong. But anyways,
does anybody have a memory of the physical location? Does anybody have any memory of the physical location of the post office? I just have this really vague memory that was on one of the corners, maybe on the third level.
Actually, that's an interesting point, Sam. It straddled both Queens Road and DeVoe, and Queens Road is higher up. So if you went in on DeVoe Road and the front door, if you went out in the back, you had to leave on the second or third floor, I think, was the exit.
Yeah.
And also, what was the other thing? Yeah, it was strategically located in Central for a lot of the business mail to go through there. That's why it got a lot of usage. And they had a lot of counters for a relatively small post office. And again, I don't know why they closed it down and why DeVoe Road became the new branch for it.
Could be the lease.
But it was, it might have been that, you know, the landlord wanted more rent and the post office was looking for a cheaper solution, or maybe it was too restricted in that building. They couldn't expand for the volume of business. I don't know. That's all speculation. I can't find records about that.
No. Okay.
But I think one of the things this shows is how much you can do with modern postal history, studying a branch of a current or you know, 1960s, 1980s, even post office, to see how much history there is in just one little place.
Okay. Any more questions? All right. So thank you, Ingo, for telling us about the Manyi Arcade post office. Yes. So I think Simon has something to say about something. I don't know.
How much time do we have?
Oh, forever.
Oh, right. You are not dividing it into 3 sessions. Okay,
no,
okay.
No more.
Right. Okay. Then, yeah. Okay, good. Then let me share something.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me start. I will start with something very ordinary. Stanley, local mail, 5 cent centenary, and there is a the promotional shop or advertisement shop by Bombers. And then while I was preparing this presentation, I found out that in fact in my collection, all those covers with those promotional shops, whether it's by Bombers or are you supporting the British organization fund, something like that, they are all on covers with address in Hong Kong only. In other words, either it's incoming from overseas or local to local. If it's a cover from Hong Kong going to foreign countries, then I can't find any cover in my collection with such promotional shop. I'm not sure whether this is a practice or this is true or not. And in fact, I'm not studying, I'm not an expert in that area, and I'm not sure how or under what circumstances did they use the several advertisement shops, because there were a few, and whether they were of different periods or they just used it randomly, I'm not sure. Okay, the second one is airmail cover from branch office, because I remember I forgot about this. Richard or Sam or whoever told me that airmails from branch office were not that common, and then I started to dig into my collection and see whether I can find some airmail from branch offices. And then this is the one from Stanley, just a normal $1.15 rate per half ounce from Hong Kong via VOAC, going to Bangkok, and then via the trunk service to London. Okay, and the second one is an incoming cover registered from Shanghai BPO to a location in Kowloon City. Note that the year, in fact, was 1921, and the Kowloon City post office was opened in 1929. It's around more than 7 years, prior to the opening of the Kowloon City post office. So this registered mail from Shanghai to Kowloon City, in fact, was delivered by the Yaumati post office. So it got a Yaumati post office back stamp, the type 1, and then postman chop here, lumber in English. And this postman did chop, in fact, was belonging to the Yaumati post office. Okay, and then let's look at the address. The address in Kowloon City is 638 Sai Tau. So, where was Sai Tau located? Well, in fact, Sai means west. Sai Tau means west side. Sai Tau village, in fact, was the small village to the west side of the Kowloon Ward City. I used a photo in 1910s from the northwest corner of the Ward City. And you can see that there are some rows of houses outside the wall of the Ward City, and I suppose that was the Sai Tau village. And has become Sai Tau Chun after the war, and in fact, after World War II, the influx of immigrants has grown the area into a very dense squatted settlements through the 50s to 60s and then to the 70s, until the whole area was demolished and developed together with the walled city in the 1980s. And that location of cycling park. In fact, I read some document or some information saying that people always said that within the water city, I mean in the 70s and 80s, it is a non-governing kind of area, because the British government did not want to conflict with China because of the sovereignty issue over there. And then nobody wants to ruin that kind of area. And then something like prostitution, and then and all other bad things was happening there. And in fact, some document saying that in fact the actual location or actual area where all those bad things was happening, in fact, was in Sai Tau Chun. Okay, let's go to the next one. A tax mark. And yeah, the usual way is 20 cents per first ounce, and then 10 cents each additional ounce. So for I cover more than 1 ounce, then it should be 30 cents in stamps. But this cover has just 20 cents, so it's taxed for overweight. And looks that this Kowloon City post. In most of the case, the time slot was in the middle, and I suppose the space there was quite wide, and maybe the time slots can shift here and there. And then the text mark. This type, in fact, is different from the Prowse type, and let's have a look at the Prowse type. Yeah, the Prowse type is like this, and the time range of usage. The type is different. Next one, another pre-war airmail from a branch office from the Kowloon City. Just normal $2.80 per half ounce rate to US, and this cover has taken the PAA FAM 14 from Hong Kong to San Francisco with our rifle mark from the. Okay, continuing with the pre-war airmail from branch offices. This one is from Kowloon Tong, and from Kowloon Tong of Hong Kong to Yunnan or Kunming City in China, and the rate was 35 cents per half ounce. But the arrival at the destination Yunnan Fu, in fact, was the mailing date of August 13, which means it took 13 days from Hong Kong to Yunnan Fu, and I'm not sure whether because according to the information available to me, the Hong Kong to Kunming flight was on a weekly basis, but I doubt whether that applied to that time period of law or not, because it's not usual to take such a long time. In China. Next one, another pre-war airmail from branch offices. This one was from Yaumati, and it's registered Yaumati, 1941. The usual rate of $3.50 per half ounce. Air flew out to San Francisco. And in fact, the flight was alternative, one from Hong Kong and other one from Singapore, in fact. And then the one departing Hong Kong was on June 4th. And that's, yeah, the date was okay. And arrivals including the Honolulu, June 11th, San Francisco, June 13, and then the Wilmington, Delaware, June 15. This one is, yeah, also a pre-war airmail from Sai Ying Pun. This is first flight from Hong Kong to Shanghai, and yeah, 35 cents per half ounce, and then taking the CNAC flight from Hong Kong to Shanghai. And then it went from Shanghai to Nanjing. There are two instructional marks on the front, one in violet and one in black, and such China marking. So I'm not sure whether one was from Shanghai, one was from Nanjing, or both are from the same city. And it seems that the types and the fonts are identical except for the color. Okay, also a pre-war airmail from branch office. This one is Wan Chai. Yeah, from except for the markings on the front. At the back, there's only the back stamp from Victoria on the same date. But interesting thing is that the rate or the franking was just 15 cents only. Well, it's a little bit strange to me because according to what I learned from the existing information, the all-up rate was not of the $1 charge due to the increase of the cost for the changing of the routes because of the war. But this cover seems it was just having 15 cents franking only with the $1 charge. I'm not sure whether it's the correct rate or what, but in fact I cannot find any trade. So, whether this cover was by airmail or by sea route, in fact I'm not sure. Maybe someone knowledgeable in this area maybe please advise. Okay, let's go to post-war branches. The one I want to talk about is North Point. North Point Post Office, which was opened on 1950. Here is the photograph of the North Point Post Office. I think in its early days, either 1950s or 1960s. And you can see that I have here an image of a day stamp, official pay Hong Kong in December 4. I'm not going to talk about the first day covers or the cancellation or the normal double ring or single ring. Okay, let's have a look at the location of the post office first. In fact, North Point Post Office was located very near to the North Point housing estate. Just in fact, just as within a part of the west wing of the North Point estate, and opposite to it, and a little bit of the background of North Point housing estate. In fact, it was a very important project in Hong Kong regarding the housing in Hong Kong. North Point estate was the first largest subsidized housing project by the Hong Kong Housing Authority, and the design was in fact quite advanced at that time with individual to that perspective diagram drawing of a typical unit. And also the whole campus included community facilities like a bus terminus, ferry pier, and also post office. And the whole project was completed for occupation in 1958. But the official opening ceremony held by Governor Sir Alexander Grantham, and in fact was on 1957 on November 25th. On post office. And that ceremony was officiated jointly by the governor and the postmaster general, Mr. Saville. I also list here this newspaper clipping, but in Chinese. Literally, it mentioned about the governor posted the first mail in North Point Post Office. Tenant for moving into North Point Estate. So, which day stamp of North Point Post Office was used to cancel that mail or the upcoming bundle of notification mails? In fact, I do not have a very definitive answer, but according to what I have studied, I suppose this authority was sending to the tenants, notifying them to move in to North Point estate. And it was a registered cover having the official pay number 4, single ring they sent in red. And because of the originating department of North Point Housing Estate Office, so I suppose it should have been sent from Mr. B.M. Wong for allowing me to show his cover here. And according to my study, there are several other originating government departments having the official pay number 4 stamp on their official mails. And let's have a look. The first one is Housing Authority that I have just shown, and then the government printing, which is just opposite to the North Point Post Office. And then the Urban Services Department, the Eastern Health Office, and the Labor Department. Both the USD and the Labor Department, in fact, were located at the Causeway Bay Magistrate Building at Hinkford Street and Kings Road. And the interesting thing is that North Point Post Office, all the above departments at that time. And therefore, official mails from those departments between 1959 and 1963 were applied with official pay number 4. Is it just coincidence? And well, after I published two articles last year, and I received the comments my assumption in fact was not true, because that person mentioned that he was running across basically all branch offices in Hong Kong and searching through all the cabinets, the desktops, and everywhere inside the post office for everyday stamp and every postmark, and he have never seen such an official pay number 4 in North Point. In fact, he mentioned that or in General Post Office only. But the time when he was doing such kind of philatelic activities, I suppose it was already 1970s or 1980s. While the usage of official pay number 4 in North Point was in fact in the 1960s. And instead of arguing for such a point, I would like to show an evidence. Unfortunately, the base stamp or the mark was not that clear, but we can still see that it is the date, and in fact is 1963, June 20th. Posting to Mr. Shi Xiaotong. Shi Xiaotong, in fact, is also known as Mr. Peter Shack at Haichung. And the letter inside that cover, and the letter is like this. From S.L. Chan of Labor Department, dear Peter, I have sent this personally at the North Point Post Office. I hope you get a right one this time. Which means, Peter Shack's friend has helped him to mail probably a couple of covers previously, but all failed. His friend could get a right one. So I firmly believe that official pay index number 4 was from North Point Post Office. The last recorded date, according to my study, in fact, is November 1963, which was just 5 months later than the cover that I've just shown posting to Mr. Pete's shed. Probably this cover was obviously it is point. And a mark from North Point Post Office disappeared afterwards. But why? And what cancellations were used for official mails from those departments near North Point after that date, or after last recorded date? In fact, I do not have a very clues, and further research is required. But yeah, I am going to have an article for the coming Hong Kong Philatelic Society Journal talking about these postmarks. And but regarding these questions, maybe I can only return to it maybe at a later time. Yeah, and that's all for me. That's all from me, and thank you for listening.
Yeah, thank you, Simon. Fascinating talk and showing of the early branch office markings on covers is absolutely fascinating. And then also the mystery of the official pay number 4 CDS. I was actually wondering whether that was at one point it was just on loan, must be from the GPO on loan to the North Point Post Office for sending out official mail. And then of course,
well, in fact, you can see that according to Proud, there are 5 such day stamps of the same type. Index number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, in fact, there is no index number 3 because no record has been found on index number 3, and we are not sure whether it was lost during the journey, or it was not sent to Hong Kong, or it was damaged when arrived in Hong Kong. Nobody knows. Only 4 have been recorded: number 1, 2, 4, and 5. And because of the same layout and the same look, and I suppose they were sent together.
Yes.
And in fact, they look quite similar to the postage pay single ring, also having index, of which a few of them were used during the typhoon event of 1948. I suppose all those CDS were of the same batch, and yeah, they probably were sent together to Hong Kong within the same period of time. Yeah, probably. Well, okay. In fact, I've mentioned in my coming article that I believe those day stamps were prepared when the military administration in 1946 was going to terminate, and the civilian government would be resumed in May of 1946. So the London GPO has prepared new day stamps for the civilian government. That's my theory.
Okay. Any questions from anybody else? It's quite interesting because there are some OHMS covers. They were just stamped with just the ordinary CDS rather than actually the official paid, and obviously they must have been officially paid. So it baffles me why actually didn't the North Point follow suit? Just
yeah, good question. While there was one, why there was not 2? Yeah, and yeah, I have covered that in my comment article. And in fact, there are still some uncertainties regarding a few types. Say, for example, index number 5.
Yes.
Well, which in fact is very rare, index number 5. And where was it used? And yeah, at this moment, I'm not 100% sure. But in fact, I have some analysis, and yeah, maybe you can refer to my comment article. Okay, on that. Okay. And another type, also quite rare, is the double ring official by Hong Kong with sidebars. it's also quite rare. But where was it used? Everybody when looking at it, suppose it was from GPO. But at this moment in time, I believe that type was not from GPO. And I am still doing some research on it, and I hope that I have some suggestion or more concrete answer in one of my coming articles.
Yes, perhaps we could have we should have a meeting on just official mail in future.
Yeah.
Question.
Sam, yes.
Yeah. Sorry to break the thought, but could you go back to the Yaumati? Is there a small L.R. in red on the back?
Yaumati, okay.
The back of the Yaumati. Take a look at the back. Is there a small L.R. in red?
Yes.
Small
yes.
L.R. or S.R.?
L.R.
L.R., thank you. Just as a comment, North Point is where I live. So by the 60s, I was lining up for the first day covers. But of course, I have no access to sending anything with official pay. I could go back and take a look at my first day covers that I still have from the North Point, but no official pay. Sorry, Simon.
Good.
Now, one other question, a comment. I read somewhere that the print shop, Yan, a spy center for communist China. Have you read that?
No.
That the spies go in and out of Yan, the print shop?
No, I have no idea.
Yeah, I read somewhere. Thank you.
Good. Any questions? Right. Okay. So, has anybody got anything to show or to discuss? Right. Okay.
In fact, John was sending me some examples of Mandy Ake. I'm not sure whether John would like to show it or not.
Okay.
John, are you going to show something? Oh, he wants me to show, but it's a little bit difficult for me technically because I need some time to transfer the files from WhatsApp to my computer and then put it to share on the screen.
Yes. Oh, Ingo. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm just curious to know how many people in this meeting are interested in modern branch post office mail. I like to collect all the different branch post offices, and I find the modern ones they're not that plentiful. And when you see them on eBay, there's one or two people that I'm always fighting with to get some post offices from obscure branches, and especially the late ones before the handover that were opened in the late 80s and early 90s, just before it reverted to China. I don't see a lot of articles. I don't see a lot of presentations or anybody writing about it, but I definitely know there's somebody out there or one or two people that I'm fighting with over on eBay. There was a guy in Finland who had a large correspondence, and he had fantastic branch post office covers. And I just wonder, is there a lot of interest in it? Because nobody ever writes about it or talks about it, but somebody obviously is collecting
Ingo, the first one I would like to tell you who is very much interested in branch office is our chairman, Andrew Zheng. Because when
it's you.
when I joined the Hong Kong Philatelic Society, one of the activities that I was actively involving was to follow Dr. Cheung to go to basically every branch offices in Hong Kong and then obtain the postmarks there. And that was the activities for me between 1994 and 1997. In fact, I stopped the activities after 1997. So, of course, myself and Andrew are obviously interested in
Okay.
branch post office.
I tried to earn some pocket money by going around all the post offices and taking pictures. That was in the during my school days. So every time, and when I returned from the UK, I just went for holidays. I went round to the post offices with one of my friend, Mr. Chui, who actually Sam knows him very well because they wrote a book together, the postage due book. And while he was trying to get all the postage due cancels and covers, and I was actually posting registered covers from each post office. Well, basically, I think collecting the branch office covers, there were several periods. I mean, obviously there was the early period, which you have been shown some of the covers, and the Harman's collections is all that was in the 1930s, and then afterwards in the late 50s and 60s. Those were now the very famous people like the late Jack G. You know, he did a lot of these covers. Peter Scheck, Norman Bennett, and you know they were all worked in Hong Kong during that period. You know, the 60s and there were a couple more names. They posted and Wong Tape, of course, and they posted a lot of the covers from all the post offices. And you can still find them, for example, on eBay, but very seldomly on as individual pieces in auction, because they seldom worth a lot of money. But usually you have to buy the whole lot for something. And then of course there was the empty period where all these like Jack and thing all retired back to the UK. And the most difficult period is it's the late 70s and early 80s. That's before I came in.
Absolutely, yes. And when Peter Scheck was migrated back to US and all those
like
others,
Norman Bennett, Jack G all returned, and all returned to the UK for retirement. And there was a void basically of about 5 years or something, where maybe 3 or 4 post offices like Fushan or something. It was very, very difficult to find the first day covers. And then of course later on you got the new generation. I was one of them, and Simon was another one, and then with I think 3 or 4 or 5 others. That actually we met every single time when there was a new post office opening anywhere in Hong Kong, and we all congregate there and try to fight for the earliest registration label. And then also I think the Hong Kong Post actually introduced something which is the official. There's an official opening cover for the people whom they invited to opening ceremonies. And then those actually were printed by the post office, and
pre-printed,
there were only very few around, and we were actually waiting outside the post offices, and then try to either buy them off the guests, or try to bribe them, or try to steal them from them. So it's quite fascinating. I mean, these official, so-called official opening day covers. I mean, if you see one on eBay, grab them. They're very rare. Maybe only sometimes 50 or less than 50 produced. Certainly, the Hong Kong Post didn't invite a lot of people. Usually, the Postmaster General we usually get, and the guest of opening and etc. It's only maybe only a handful still around. Some of them obviously kept them, so you don't see them very often. And I still remember that. on the first day of the opening of the post office, you were actually allowed to take any cancel to send your letters. I mean, if they had maybe just 1 or 2 cancels on the counter, and then with a little smile and and a kind request, you can ask the postmaster, do you have other cancels? And then some of the postmasters could actually take maybe 1 or 2 spare ones from the safe, which they were never actually used because they don't. It's such a small office, only 2 counters. They never get about 5 or 6. They don't need so many cancels, but usually any new post office would have, say, maybe 3 or 4. But always there were 2 always kept in the safe, and they usually reserve 1 for canceling first day covers because they, the day-to-day use, for example, the parcel post counter and the registration counter. And there's, a lot of them were damaged, and they usually reserve 1, usually locked in the safe. And for if there's a new issue or something, they'll take that out and cancel the first day covers. So that's why if you see a first day cover from branch office, that the cancel is often the best of the whole lot, and usually is of a very unusual number, which they kept in reserve. So that was not a day-to-day use cancel.
Yeah, and usually during the 90s, most of the cancellations were single ring type. But in fact, as Andrew mentioned, usually the one they kept inside cabinet is a double ring type, which in fact was quite rare, right? And like, for example, Gloucester Road, and you can always see index number 1 to number 5, something like a single ring. But in fact, there was a double ring with sidebar type, which was always kept inside the cabinet. I remember one day when Andrew was inviting me to lunch inside to a restaurant inside the building where Gloucester Road post office was located. And then after having some chat and have a short meeting with the postmaster of that post office, and then we successfully obtained a few covers with that double ring postmaster.
Yeah.
And that's that's philatelic, of course. But if you have a good smile and then a good chat, then maybe they just let you obtain a few examples.
Okay.
That's a wonderful thing that you guys did that, because those cancels probably would never come out into the public if you philatelists didn't do that.
That's right.
And it's good to know who my competition is.
It wasn't me.
Angle, don't. Yeah, I in fact I have not bought or sold anything in the market for more than 10 years. So definitely I am not your competitor.
I stopped collecting branch office since '97 because because I thought the new cancels made by the Chinese really has very little taste. I mean, I say because they have introduced the coded system. So I mean, you've got a 3-letter code for each post office, and then furthermore, some of them are made in I think Shanghai, and some made in I think Beijing, I think, and they were made of inferior steel, and they were damaged quite easily. So they keep changing the cancels every maybe 3 or 4 years. So I mean, that's if you actually study the post '97 the cancels, the Chinese characters on top, Hong Kong on top, you can actually there are actually several types, very similar, but they are distinctly. I think the Shanghai type and the Beijing type are different. I mean, slightly different. I mean, so actually it's a good collecting area, but there are plenty more cancels after '97. Some post offices, not the office, excluding, for example, the GPO or the IMC or AMC, which they must have about 20 cancels. I mean, it's so difficult to obtain examples of everyone. Even for smaller post offices, they often have about 5 cancels. I mean, is very hard. And then of course the cost have risen because of you have to actually send registered mail before getting them on canceling your stamps. I mean, if it's just ordinary mail, they just send it back to either the IMC in Kowloon or the GPO in Hong Kong to be cancelled by machine. Now, this interesting point, I don't know whether you guys noticed that during the double ring period, which is from the 50s to about 70s, I think, where the single ring cancels were introduced. You notice that some of them has a time index and some haven't. But the time index actually is used for posting ordinary mail. Yes. So if you post the letter, you put a letter into the post box outside the post office. Every post office, a branch office has a post box outside. So you put that letter into the post box, they will be cancelled by the CDS with the time index. Whereas if you go inside the post office and get your letter registered, you get the other one without the time index. But I think this practice stopped, to my memory, I think it's about maybe 70 or 71, because of the increased volume of mail and which the postmaster couldn't cope, and they just bagged all the ordinary mail and then send them back to the either the GPO or the Kowloon post office to be cancelled. Or sometimes it's machine, and sometimes they use the steel, because obviously a lot of the post offices have only about two smaller ones. For example, the maybe Chang Chao or a Mui War, they only have two people, either the postmaster general, the postmaster and postman. So they couldn't, there's so many letters they couldn't cope. So they just bagged all the ordinary mail and send them back to either the GPO or the Kowloon.
Well, Andrew, I would like to supplement that point. Well, in fact, before that early 1970 period or year, where all the mails were basically sent to the Kowloon or GPO for sorting and then dispatching. In fact, before that period, before that time, it pretty much depends on which post office that mail were posted. If that post office was having a delivery function, then I suppose they would filter or screen it. Say, for example, Sham Shui Po. Sham Shui Po was in fact a delivery office. When mails posted inside inside the post box, or if you hand over to the counter for posting inside Sham Shui Po post office, then if the address was within their delivery area, they would just sort it and then deliver it directly without sending it to Kowloon for sorting and delivery. But apparently that practice was not having anymore, probably because of the increase of the machines, or because of the changing of new machines with higher efficiency, that the postmaster decided to have all mails sent to the two main sorting offices, which is the GPO or the Kowloon, and then later then Kowloon Central for overall sorting. I think that's what I have found out when I was studying the official pay mails. And yeah, you talk about the outlying islands like the Mui War or Chang Chao or Ping Chao, and they, in fact, they were a little bit special, because even in the 90s, if you were posting a letter in Chang Chao, and then you told the postmaster there that the mail was in fact posting to Tai O, then he would in fact have it cancelled with a double ring postmark and then send directly, to Tai O, instead of sending it back to TPO for sorting and delivery. Unless you just put it into a mail post box, and then because the post box, all the mails from the post box would be collected by someone from GPO. They would just collect all the mails together and then send the whole back to GPO for sorting and further delivery. But if you hand over to the postmaster at Changzhou Post Office and mentioning that that letter was supposed to Tsai, then probably he would cancel with a double ring, Changzhou.
Yes, and ask the postman to deliver the letter maybe 2 streets down. Or something.
Yeah, because of that Kai toll service between the outlying islands.
Which is very, very different from today, because all letters are now being sorted at the
CMC, something like that.
CMC. Yeah, but so if I, for example, I work in Central, if I send a letter to North Point, they would actually send in a local post box, and the letter would have gone across the harbor to CMC and then back across the harbor to North Point. You see.
Yeah.
So that's what happens because. I really think that that for example, the GPO could just directly send to North Point, but they don't. I mean, everything is now gone to the so-called the CMC, which is what is it called? Combined Mail Center, something like that. So the GPO nowadays is just a delivery office. I mean, used to be very important place where you post registered letters. They have a sorting office behind. They have all the canceling machines. I visited the GPO the inside and a few times, and they have massive canceling machines. But now it's all gone. I mean, the GPO is now just a delivery office. The GPO actually keeps some cancel. I mean, for example, if you have for a missent or something, they would bang the CBS on the back of the letter, and then they'll reroute the letter to other places. So if you nowadays find a GPO cancellation on the back of the letter, it's not quite an arrival. I mean, it's more like a redirection cancel. Anyhow, it's interesting. Anyway,
this is the rare material of the future.
Yes.
The early SAR cancellations, which we're not so crazy about, in 50 years, people are going to be fighting for those on eBay.
You see, they're because some of them are very rare. Because as I said, the Chinese-made cancels were made of inferior steel. And they didn't last very long. I mean, they maybe a few years, 3-4 years, and they're gone. Not like obviously those cancels in the double ring ones or even single wing ones were supplied by the UK, and they were really hard steel. I mean, you can actually bang it without a pad on a wooden table, and it wouldn't damage the cancel unless you drop it on the floor. That would be different, but. You can see when you go to a post office and you see how they operate. They have some sort of official supplied rubber mats, for stamping your mail with the canceling it on top. But some of them just can't find it. Where's the pad? Just bang right on the table, and then you can see this horrible sound of steel striking wood. And then that's why some of the cancels get a bit worn very quickly if you do it like that. Anyhow, anybody got any questions or anything they want to share?
Just as a matter of interest, you're talking about the central office. Presumably the sorting is automated now.
Yes. Oh, it's been the automation.
Yeah.
Was I think even in the 90s they've started using huge machines which is automatic sorting with I think optical recognition of the address. So actually the letters actually didn't have to be sorted manually. You just bung it in, and they can actually I think it's called OCR. They actually read the address and then and then send the letter to various so-called chute, where they would deliver to that area, particular area for delivery. So and actually, it's very interesting. Also, very interesting thing to collect is they have this little orange barcode at the bottom of the letter. I mean, it's very common. I mean, in Canada they have it, in the States they have it, in the UK they have it, but it's just the same system, I think. So they actually, the barcode actually represents that the machine actually sorted, read the address and then put the set of barcodes, so that automatically go to different bags in a different chute, and then the chute will have a bag at the bottom, and they all, this one go to Sham Shui Po, this one go to Yuen Long, this one go to Tao or whatever. So it's quite I think automation started in the late 80s, maybe mid 80s to late 80s, and then now I think with the CFC, CMC, which I've actually never visited yet. I want to go there, but sometimes you need a big enough party to let you go and to go and visit. They probably have some gigantic machine that could do all these automatic sorting things. Anyway, Simon, you've been there before, the CMC?
No.
You haven't.
No, I stopped that activity after 1997.
It's fascinating. I mean, visiting the AMC is also a fascinating thing.
Oh, in fact, I have visited IMC and also the GPO.
Yeah.
When I was they call the liaison committee or something like that, the member of the liaison committee of the Hong Kong Post, and they invited the members to visit the sorting office of IMC.
Yeah. Well, maybe we should organize a visit, later on in the year for members if they're interested to visit.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think so. I think it'd be fascinating. I'd love to go there.
Yeah, good. Yeah. Please do.
Yeah. Okay.
I can comment a little bit on that subject. We have a colleague here in Toronto who studies those barcode spray-on markings on the Canadian covers. And he's discovered a way to actually read those barcodes and interpret what post office they're going through in the hub and so on. But it's a really interesting study, except for the mail is so boring because it's meter covers and it's covers with no cancellation on the stamps, whatever. But actually the information that he can get from those barcodes is amazing.
Yeah.
And he's displayed it too. I'm talking about Bob Thorne. But I'll give one other comment about the hub system, where you'd say like a mailing it from an island post office to another island, it goes via CMC. I know for a fact FedEx in the United States routes every package that they handle through their hub in Memphis.
Oh,
Memphis, Tennessee is in Central America.
Yeah.
So if you give FedEx a package in San Francisco addressed to Los Angeles, it goes via Memphis, which is about a 2,000-mile journey instead of a 200-mile journey.
All right. Okay. Centralization.
Yeah.
All goes to one place and then gets sorted and redirected to various places. Yeah.
They also have their own airline, for God's sakes, for hauling all these packages.
Yeah. Right.
I have to leave now, so I'd like to say goodbye to everybody.
Yes,
and I want to thank Simon and Ingo for a most interesting presentation.
Okay,
You're welcome.
Look forward to you again. Yeah. Okay. Right. So, anything. If nobody got anything to display, anything goes. I mean, you can go on AOB and talk about other things if you like.
Can I tell you an interesting anecdote about international reply coupons?
Okay. Yeah. Why not? Yeah.
Do you remember Unitrick, the owner?
Yes.
Yes.
John Zhang.
Now, he had a friend in the post office who, it was the time when you took a coupon to the counter and you redeemed it, you got a dollar stamp, which meant that, what was it, a standard letter rate to the furthest zone. They
Yes.
covered it. All right. So his friend in the post office used to, people would hand the coupons in.
Yeah.
And he would put the coupon in his pocket
Uh-huh.
and put $1 of his own money into the till.
Mm-hmm.
So the post office got its dollar.
Yeah.
And the customer got his dollar stamp. Then he used to sell them to John for $2.
Oh.
Then John sold them to me for $3. Then I would go back home with a wad of 200-300 of these, go to my local post office in Japan, and they gave me the equivalent of $4.
Wow.
Because at the time, the disparity in rates was so great.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then the Japanese rates, the UPU complained about them being too high, so they brought them down, and the Japanese one, the Hong Kong ones were going up. So there wasn't that leeway for, as John put it, my friend in post office make dollar, I make dollar, you make dollar. And we did, we all made $1.
Ah, fantastic.
And when he couldn't sell them to me, he sold them to people in Taiwan.
Yeah.
You know why?
No.
Not a member of the UPU. They don't have international reply coupons.
Ah, I see. Okay.
So you've got students in Taiwan wanting to go to the States. They want to send to get prospectus.
Mm-hmm.
And so they could use these coupons. If they paid it through the bank, the commission would be dreadful. So, but there was this one time when I would go into our local post office with 200-300.
Are they all cancelled?
Of course, you can only get stamps. You can only get stamps, but I used a lot of stamps in those days. I used to rip through 20,000 yen's worth of stamps a day, a week. Sorry, so went fast.
But
they didn't seem to question it.
Do they have two different cancels? Your coupon, were they used or mint? Nick.
No, they wouldn't. No, they would only have the sending one. All right, these coupons would come from all over the world to somebody in Hong Kong who would take them into the. So no, he didn't cancel them.
No, he didn't cancel.
The second cancel was in Japan when I took it to my local post.
Yeah. That's quite interesting because
there was some really exotic origins of these things. You know, they got Mozambique all over the world.
Yeah.
I should have started collecting them, I suppose.
Yeah.
And they then, once you redeemed it, it would disappear into the post office, right?
Yeah, they should be destroyed.
Yeah.
But who
knows what you're talking? Yeah.
This trade in international coupons was the source of the Ponzi scheme because of being able to buy it at a lower rate in one country, and then when you bring it to another country where you would get a higher rated stamp, then this guy Ponzi, if you look it up, worked into that, and that was the source. But this disparity between rates in one country to another is also responsible, I think, for some of the problems we're having here in Canada with registered mail. If I know I bought items in some, let's say India or Singapore, they want to send it registered, and it's peanuts. It's $2, $3. Whereas here in Canada, registration, I think it's up to $14 or $16. So now what's happening in Canada is that they seem to be ignoring registered mail coming into the country. They're not being paid enough money to go through the manpower to scan it and register it, and even the posties. In the building I'm living in now for 20 years, I've signed once for registered mail. All the rest of the time it's dropped into my mailbox. And then there's the same thing with AR coupons. Now, I haven't had one of those for a couple of years, but I've had about 5 arrive here in Canada, and the same thing, they're just dropped into the mailbox. So these disparities, and that's also, I think, I don't want to bring up the name Trump, but he wanted to get out of the UPU for much of the same reason, was saying that our costs here are higher as compared to other countries. So that's enough for me for now.
Yeah.
That's happening in the UK, because I've sent registered packets to somebody on a regular basis, and they're all just put through the mailbox. So it must be the British Post Office is doing the same as the Canadian Post Office, not going to the trouble of doing all the formalities.
I wonder that some of them cannot be traced.
Well, hang on. That now, at the present, they're not handing it to you because of COVID.
You're right.
They're still putting it. They're still scanning it. But they're, they maybe knock on your door and leave it on your doorstep. If you, in my case, but they're not. It's all COVID precautions at the moment. You're not signing for anything at all in the UK at present.
Vincent, you held up an AR picture there. Is that a book you have?
No, it's a packet that came in. It's a cover I purchased in France, and this was just put in my mailbox.
Oh, wow!
But it is scanned. It's a registered packet, and it was scanned. I track it, through my app on the iPhone, and so I could see it was delivered and so forth. But I mean, it was AR. You would have, in the old days, you would have had to sign that, right? And they would have taken it. But now it sits there, and in fact, I was about to toss this until this conversation, but
no, don't toss that. That's postal history.
Well, the pain in all of this is that oftentimes, especially on eBay, a buyer insists on registering something, so you're paying for a service that you're not going to get.
Yeah, true.
I've been fighting that for a long time. I tell the sellers that Canada hasn't been tracking any of the registered mail for many years. So why am I paying for a service that I'm not getting? I mean, this is many years, right? Engo and Michelle, we know for many years there's absolutely no tracking. You could send it by registered mail. Once it leaves that country, it goes blank.
Yeah. I tell my sellers, the eBay sellers and other people, unless it's a high-end thing where I buy from an auction like Spink or something, I just tell them, just send it ordinary mail. I will take responsibility, because the sender wants to have the liability covered in case the thing gets lost. That's why they want it registered. And they put in, of course, in eBay now, they have a very expensive, ridiculously priced shipping system. Yeah. I always converse with the seller and say, look, I will accept responsibility, just put it in ordinary mail. Because ordinary mail also comes in faster than registered.
Oh, absolutely.
The registered stuff that comes in is like always slowed down and sometimes held up by customs, and it's a big pain.
Yes.
So unless it's a high-end item, I just tell them mail it normal, and most of them do, and they give me a discount on the postage. But you have to ask. But the whole subject of AR is interesting. Another Canadian fellow, a guy named Handelman, wrote a little monograph on AR mail, and it's pretty interesting. There's a very small section on Hong Kong, but that whole subject of proof of delivery is one that I have close to my heart. And I recently had an experience with it where I had to send something to the German government for some relative of mine who had a pension in Germany, and they didn't know how to speak German. So I did the letter for them, and I mailed it to the German government. And because it was government and it was during COVID, I decided to make it AR. So an outgoing AR from Canada to Germany. And sure enough, about 2 months later, I received my AR card back, signed by the clerk who received it. So the system does work in places, but I guess the Germans are more into the whole bureaucracy and doing everything properly, whereas in some countries like Canada and maybe others, and certainly in the United States, they just don't care. There's no concern. There seems to be no education to the workers about that kind of routine. Like when I talk to my local post office girls about, you know, I want to send an AR. They sort of vaguely know about it, but unless it's the manager, they don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, so right, it's we are nearly up to about 2 hours now. Continuous meeting. I think we have you know, a lovely meeting, uninterrupted meeting, and it is fascinating. And Nick is actually going to bed because it's midnight in Japan. Well, anyway, I think we should, while talking about all these AR and registered mail, I think we should have a separate session on registered mail and AR maybe next month, if anything, you know, is agreeable on all of you, that we actually could have a session on that. I mean, it would be fascinating to learn about.
Yeah, Andrew, I managed to download John Tang's images on Maniac. Maybe let me have 1 or 2 minutes to show it.
No, sure, you got. I think we got up to about another 2 hours if you wish.
Okay, just a few words. Okay, this one, yeah, from John Tang, I suppose, maybe, yeah, and because I'm talking. So John, can you talk? Maybe you can describe your lovely item, John.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is this one the label in light green?
Yeah. It's light green.
Okay, so this is a parcel code, parcel label. Yes.
Simon, the image isn't showing up. It's just your screenshot.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
let me see.
There you. Okay, that's it.
Okay. Yeah.
Is that green label? Yes.
Right. So this is, you can see it, right?
Yeah.
From Maniac. Yeah.
Yes.
Of course, John is going to make me jealous.
Yeah, he always make me jealous. You are not the only one.
Yeah, and this is actually the top half of the label, and the big half of the label, which.
咁啊，嗰個 Ingo，Rich 個電腦壞咗，今日整唔到。Rich 個電腦壞咗。
Okay. Yeah.
今日上唔到網。
This is the top half of the label, and it is like a grayish green color. Used for airmail, but I think I've actually seen a white. I mean, Ingalls actually using white one. I think they were virtually interchangeable. Whereas registered labels are different. I mean, the green ones or the various shades of green definitely are used for airmail, and the white ones for local.
幾時啊？聽日。
Okay. This one.
Yeah.
This is the closing date of Maniac. Can you see it?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Also parcel post, I suppose.
Yeah.
But I think that's cut out from a large piece, and so this one is without the label.
Yes. Yes. Well, as you see, the postage is incorrect. So as you say that I cannot remember what the postage was, but it could be maybe $2 or something like that, and then you could have several, many, you know, so many pieces of this that cancelled with the standard sort of GB type parcel chop, and then with the printing thing put on afterwards.
You notice how worn it is.
Yeah.
It's that chop is very worn.
Yeah.
The last day cancel.
Yeah.
Oh, and I'll also tell you a personal observation about these parcel chops. They are made of rubber actually, and
That's right.
The postmen are supposed to use water-soluble ink to cancel. And when it's sort of like damaged like that, and some of the postmen were too lazy, and they just put it on the organics, like turpentine, a solvent for canceling the steels. And they put it on the wrong material, and then that would dissolve the plastic, and gradually the rubber would expand and becomes so much like sometimes like a smudge.
Yeah.
So they actually have two ink pads. There's a water-soluble ink pad just for the parcel cancels, because they are made of rubber, whereas the organic, I don't know if it's a turpentine or whatever they use or for the steel, which is actually it's an organic solvent used to dilute the ink.
Yeah, but throughout the whole period, in fact, all parcel cancels were made of rubber, I suppose, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, they were all rubber.
Yeah. It's also quite interesting to observe, but with this type of parcel, it's actually the parcel cancel itself, the cancellation itself is actually a little bit curved. So if you want a complete parcel, you have to use like a rocking horse movement to get the complete thing on. Whereas the modern ones, for example, the post-97 one, they use the Trodat cancel, which is actually completely flat. So you can actually stamp it like a date stamp. But if you try to use that up and down movement to cancel to use this old style cancel, and you only get the name in Hong Kong on the bottom, and probably missing the left half and the right half of the cancel.
Yeah, that's what makes them so scarce when you get a really good proper chop.
That's right.
Yeah, and in the 90s, those rectangular ones in fact were flat. Well, because those days I were running over all the branch offices and obtaining the CDS and also parcel cancels, and and the way we were making that kind of philatelic covers was that we have a large cover, a large envelope, and then we put in a few stamps all over the whole envelope, and then which probably could make up the rate required for parcel, and then we can have we can obtain the parcel mark for each stamp, and then we can cut it into say 8 pieces or 9 pieces, with each piece having one cancel. And of course, there's only one piece having the label, and that would be the owner's collection.
In the owner's collection. Yeah.
Okay.
Simon, Charles speaking.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would like to ask. Okay. For that partial post cancel now showing on the screen, is it for sure it's made of a rubber?
Yeah.
Because I've seen another guys showing the foreign partial post chop that I don't know. I don't want to mention his name because I don't with his permission. I took the photo in. I took a photo in 2017, and it is interesting to see it. It is looks to be a metal one with a curve. That now I want to share the screen. Show that to see if.
Okay. Charles. Let me finish the one from John first. Okay.
Okay.
I suppose. Yeah, that is the last one. Yeah. the receipts. Or different color. Yeah. So one in green and others are in white, I suppose.
Yeah.
Is there any index number 6 here? No. 4, 4, 2.
4, 2, 2.
Yeah. Okay.
Good.
Yeah. So I'll stop share and hand over to Charles.
Okay. Can you see now?
Yeah.
I enlarge the screen, the right side.
No, it's actually it's made of rubber because it's just only a thin sheet of rubber actually glued to the curved metal plate.
Okay.
Oh yeah. The right one is in fact very similar to those used in Hong Kong in the 90s, and this should be rubber.
I think well, the point is that that means the chop will be in curve.
Yeah.
That installed with made of a rubber.
Yeah. The piece actually is actually made of rubber, and it was glued to the metal. I think it's a brass plate, the curved brass plate. So when it's damaged, you just basically peel it off and stick another new plate, another rubber plate on. You can actually see it's a different color. Because I've handled this before in the 80s, 70s and 80s, and you know it's quite obvious that but they had several of exactly the same, and then once the one got damaged or just basically melted, and they just peel it off and then use some glue and stick another piece in.
Okay.
Andrew.
Yeah.
Just to supplement what you're saying, if you go back to John's example, the edges curves up, the edges expand more than the middle. I mean, if you look at the T marks way back, which are the same material, again, the solvent attack and expand the size much more than the middle. That's just a phenomenon. So that's a confirmation that is made by rubber and it's been attacked by solvent in the ink over the years.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I stop sharing. Any part? No.
Interesting. Thank you, Charles, for actually showing an actual example.
It belong to a fellow collector, not my property. Therefore, I
thought you won't be collecting.
Without his permission, I cannot mention his name anyhow. Thank you.
Okay. Great. I mean, it's the same. It's like a UK style. It's been supplied to I would say all the British colonies. I mean, they supply the handle and the as well. And anyway, anybody got anything to mention or to supplement or to questions asked? No.
Maybe showing some. Sorry.
Okay, go ahead.
Maybe showing some date stamps of the guy in possession of the properties. Therefore, without his permission, I think it's just give
so he's a date stamp collector rather than a postmark collector.
Yeah, maybe okay. Let me try to share. Okay. Hey, come on, man. Hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Still waiting.
Yeah, I know. My computer with some problem, maybe. Can you hear? Can you see?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
These are the dies.
Hello, guys.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I cannot hear you. Sorry.
I can see. Yes. This is actually yeah. This is actually fascinating stuff because I mean.
I suppose you can see the share screen or not?
Yeah, I can. Yeah.
I can only say one word to this. Wow.
Well,
this must be from a museum. I can't believe this is in private hands.
Yes, because see what happened was around I think around before 97, all the single ring branch office state stamps
Hello.
handed in to the they collected all the single ring hand stamps before they issued the double ring hand stamps, and there must be several hundreds of these things, and they were supposed to be destroyed. But I think what happened was they were just sold to scrap metal.
Angel, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello.
And well, Andrew, I'm not sure whether you just got it a lot. There was a name on the tab beside that cancel, and the name in fact is Michael C.M. Chen. Should be the ex-chairman of the CPA.
I know he collects these kind of things, but sometimes you do get these coming on eBay and from various sources, and but I think it's just pure speculation that all these were shipped back to the UK to be destroyed, and basically there were hundreds of these from there maybe for each branch office. They have about 2 or 3 cancels, and how many branch offices there? There was about 110 or something. So you're talking about
120 something. Yeah,
120 something. You're talking about 400 or 500. I mean, GPO has about 20, 30 of these things. They were all sent back in a crate back to the UK, and then of course it's steel. So I mean, it's just too good to waste, and they were sold to scrap metal, I think, to be scrapped. But some, I think, all these things, some of these got dropped, so-called drop off the back of the lorry, and then maybe sold to stamp dealers or antique collectors or something, and they somehow re-enter the market. I remember actually seeing a couple of these lots on eBay, and they fetched incredible prices. Like a few hundred, 300 US. I think it's incredible. So I mean, those things that ended up, they were all used. I mean, you can see there's still the ink on them. They were not those that were never used, which could have come from from the UK factory manufacturing plants.
Well, when it was selling on eBay, was it come along with the whole set of the time and date lugs?
No, I think it was just the die, the metal die, because that's what happened. I think they were separated. The die itself was sent back, and then maybe I don't know what happened to wooden handle. Maybe it just thrown away, or we'll probably all sent back together. But you see, the wooden handle is no different from any of those in the British Commonwealth countries. I mean, you could use for example, you could use like Seychelles or Grenada, they probably have the same wooden handle that would fit the die. The die is a special. The postmark die is a special one. So I think those were just sent to scrap metal, and just some of them just escaped at destruction. So anyhow, it's fascinating. To have some of these, to add some of these to a collection, but you pay a lot. Anyhow,
so Ingo, be careful. Those modern branch office cancellations can probably be reproduced.
This is true.
Yeah,
this is true. That's why I let some people bid over me.
Yeah. Right. Anyway, so I think I'll better call it a day or evening, and see you guys next time. And shall we just talk about registered mail next time? That seems quite, or any other subject that you want to talk about?
Well, you said it, because every topic to me is a new topic. I still need to do some research and still need to dig out some materials, and every topic is a new to me.
Yes, and dig into your treasure chest, right? Anyway, so well, I mean, okay. I'd like to end the evening by thanking all of you. Sort of for attending the meeting, and then of course I must thank Fiat for allowing us to use the Zoom account, and also Jasmine who set up the meeting, and Dr. Prokop. I think he's still there. Yes. So Dr. Prokop, would you like to say a few words?
Okay. Thank you, Andrew. Good evening, everyone. It was quite interesting, and thank you, the two gentlemen, Ingo and Simon, for lovely presentation. And I learned something new today. And thank you, Andrew, for hosting these talkings. And it was very useful and very entertaining. Okay. Especially those counselors that like Ingo comments that we rarely see them in private hands.
Yeah.
Usually either with the post office or the museum. So thank you, everyone, and look forward to this kind of meeting again in the future. Yeah. Thank you very much. Good night, everyone.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Prokop, for sponsoring us. Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, have a good evening and afternoon, and see you next time. Okay?
Yeah, see you next month.
See you next time. Okay.
Okay, bye now.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.